Although Claudia Cardinale was once the epitome of European film, she endured decades of misery behind the scenes. The wild and beautiful Italian girl from Tunisia was born in 1938 and quickly became one of the world's most seductive celebrities. However, director Franco Cristaldi controlled her personal life like a puppet. Few people are aware that she was denied the opportunity to become a mother, had to give birth in secret, and nearly lost both her freedom and her reputation. A very different Claudia, wounded but fiercely dignified, may be seen in the private images below. The truth is exposed for the first time in over 60 years in the next section, so don't miss it. Growing up, she had no intention of becoming a movie star. She aspired to teach in the local school system and lead a modest life. Everything went according to plan until she unexpectedly won a beauty pageant that she hadn't even entered. Her life was irrevocably altered by that one time. It was beyond Claudia's parents' comprehension. Not a single member of the family was involved in the entertainment industry. But all of a sudden, their daughter was being guided toward a career as an actress. However, Claudia was not a submissive girl, and her family was powerless to stop her. She was regarded as quiet, strange, difficult to read, and less than gentle when she was a youngster. She was not the kind of young lady who was bright and attention-seeking. Instead, there was an odd energy within her stillness. Although the road had been outlined earlier, many people thought the beauty pageant was the start. Under the direction of French director René V, Claudia once starred in a short film with her school friends. The film unexpectedly gained notoriety when it premiered at the Berlin Film Festival, and it was there that the first invitation from a movie theater arrived. Claudia declined because she wasn't prepared to give up the life she had chosen, not because she was afraid. Movies, however, don't let go easy. Despite Claudia's initial refusal, Jacques Barrière, another French filmmaker, persisted in pursuing her. She was eventually worn down by his perseverance. Claudia's official debut in the film industry came with a supporting role in Goha. She swiftly advanced toward bigger platforms from being a face only known locally. Claudia won the title of Most Attractive Italian Female in Tunisia during Italian Cinema Week in 1957. A trip to the Venice Film Festival, which appeared to be a ceremonial gift, ended up becoming a golden doorway. She met producers there who saw her beauty and her movie potential. Rome began a new era. Claudia received an invitation to study under actress Tina Lenni at the Experimental Center of Cinematography. However, nothing was simple. Many Italian producers saw her as problematic due to her thick French accent and deep, heavy voice. They didn't trust her speech, but they loved her face. Dejected and worn out, Claudia made the decision to go back to Tunisia, prepared to give up everything and pursue her goal of becoming a teacher. However, there is no real way to go back to the beginning after cinema has marked you. A significant turning point came in 1958 when Cardinale signed her first official acting contract. It's interesting to note that a movie in which she merely had a supporting role was the source of her first notable success. Madonna Street's Big Deal catapulted her to unprecedented popularity. She played Carmelita in the movie, a Sicilian woman who was downtrodden by her brother and made to live under his rule. Due to the film's enormous box office success, Cardinale was instantly adored by viewers. She was even dubbed La Donna d'Italia, which translates to Italy's beloved woman. With a string of other well-known movies like Upstairs and Downstairs, Vento Sud, and Three Strangers in Rome, Claudia continued to win. The real test for Cardinale came in 1959 when the crime movie Facts of Murder was released. She claims that the movie improved her acting skills and taught her how to relax in front of the camera. The following stage of Claudia's career was possibly the most straightforward. But she always knew one thing in her heart. Nobody in the acting industry remains content for very long. Cardinale gradually developed an interest in the darker aspects of acting and was prepared to play characters that were cunning and tempted individuals to destruction. Movies like Rocco and His Brothers, Bebo's Girl, A Man in Love, and Girl with a Suitcase made this very visible. Did those parts represent who she really was, or were they just a byproduct of her love of performing? Claudia was the only one who could respond to that. However, her later years shown that she was far from perfect. There were always remnants of the genuine woman in the picture she projected onto the television. When Claudia starred in two of the best movies ever made in 1963, it was her most successful year as an actress. Visconti cast Cardinale in The Leopard, whereas Federico Fellini cast Aiden Natha. Claudia transformed from a budding talent to a full-fledged superstar in just 1 year. She was hailed by critics, loved by audiences, and considered the most successful Italian actress of her era by the media. Ironically, though, Claudia never really thought she was deserving of all that praise. Claudia did not talk first of fame or glory when reflecting on the happiest time of her life decades later. Rather, she discusses luck. The actress, who was getting close to 80, acknowledged that she'd had the good fortune to collaborate with some of the finest filmmakers in history, like Blake Edwards, Fellini, and Visconti. They, in her opinion, were the ones who really influenced her career. But behind those amazing movies was a demanding work schedule that was draining, particularly since Claudia had to balance two projects with diametrically opposed creative philosophies. Claudia had to continuously switch between two film sets because Aiden Half and the Leopard were made nearly at the same time. Visconti was on one side. He was disciplined, aristocratic, and somewhat harsh. Silence was thought to be crucial to the design of his set, which operated like a precise machine. Fellini stood on the opposite side. Loud, impulsive, and deliciously disorganized. He created movies with improvisation, last-minute edits, and laughing. Adapting to these two different worlds was a significant psychological load for Claudia, in addition to being a professional hardship. She never once mentioned which director she liked best. Even while many thought Fellini had a particular place in her heart, it wasn't until years later that the cause of her reluctance became clear. Claudia revealed that even though Visconti had faith in her ability, he never gave her his whole attention. In contrast, Fellini was the first to fully embrace her inner world and personality in addition to her appearance. Following her most successful years in film, Claudia transitioned to Italian television and soon established herself as a major force on the small screen. However, she encountered still another challenge there: her tone. By the norms of television at the time, her Italian sound was difficult to listen to due to her unique husky tone and strong French accent. She was therefore dubbed in the majority of her early assignments. Although audiences could see Claudia's face and body language, the voice they heard was that of someone else. Although her voice, which was an essential component of who she was taken away, her skill was acknowledged. Until Fellini showed up at the perfect time, no one was prepared to give her a chance. Claudia's voice was first heard on screen when she starred in Bibo's Girl in 1965. In addition to allaying any remaining skepticism, the role garnered her her first career Nastro D'Argento. Ironically though, Claudia was about to go on one of the worst periods of her life at the same time as a significant career obstacle was removed. Because of her fame, she became a target for avaricious elements in the movie business. Claudia entered that environment with the naivete of a young lady having no strong family name and no one to defend her. She was driven into despair by coercion, traps, and deceptive manipulation, so profound that she even considered taking her own life. Claudia started working with producer Franco Cristaldi after her destiny was altered by a beauty pageant. He fulfilled his promise to turn her become a celebrity. However, the cost she incurred was much more than anything the general public ever witnessed. Claudia was expecting a child at the moment, but it wasn't Cristaldi's. Several accounts claim that the pregnancy was the consequence of a toxic relationship with a French man who was 10 years her senior. Cardinale signed a deal with Franco Cristaldi in order to provide stability for herself and her unborn child. The two had a brief affair somewhere between a business relationship and emotional reliance, and by 1966, he had tricked her into getting married. The following years were the worst of Claudia's career, she subsequently acknowledged. As all of the money went into Cristaldi's coffers, she worked tirelessly. She initially thought about ending the pregnancy, not because she didn't want a child, but rather because of the oppressive pressure of her job and the unseen bonds that bound her. She decided to keep the child at the last minute. Freedom did not result from that choice. It drew her farther into a controlling loop throughout her pregnancy. Franco insisted that she work continuously until her expanding belly was visible. Claudia fell into a deep despair as a result of her physical tiredness and ongoing anxiety that her secret would be discovered. Many finally realized the terrible price of fame when she revealed years later that she had considered suicide several times. At one point, Claudia thought the horror would cease if she left Franco. Indeed, life altered once she ended the contract, but not in the way she had anticipated. Franco had already planned his next course of action. Under the pretense of preserving Claudia's reputation, he made arrangements for her to give birth in London, which was really just another method of controlling her. Unfortunately, Claudia fell into Franco's well-known clutches once more. He offered her a harsher contract once the last one ended, giving him control over every aspect of her life, including her job, her schedule, and even her most private choices. For 7 years, everything was tightly controlled until Claudia finally decided to speak up. She told journalist Enzo Baggi the whole truth, and the story was swiftly published in major magazines. For the first time, the public saw that behind the flawless smile was a woman suffocating under power and manipulation. I was no longer the owner of my own body or my own thoughts, Claudia later said bitterly. It was an act of liberation, ending a toxic relationship that had lasted for years. Becoming a sex symbol was never a path paved with roses. Claudia disclosed that throughout her career, many co-stars attempted to approach her with less than pure intentions, but unlike the fragile image frequently created by the press, Claudia was always vigilant and firm about her boundaries, never allowing anyone to cross them. Later, when speaking about the identity of her son's father, Claudia publicly revealed a painful truth, completely upended the romantic narratives of the public. Despite this, Claudia refused to see herself as a victim of exploitation. "No, I never accepted being treated that way," she said, emphasizing that she never consented to appear nude on screen and always set boundaries that were non-negotiable. When Hollywood welcomed her, it took her only a few months to realize that it was not a place she belonged. In 1964, Claudia traveled to the United States and participated in a number of projects under an initiative to bring European actresses to Hollywood, but in reality, most of those contracts proved to be more restrictive than opportunistic. At the height of her career, Circus World only agreed to appear on a film-by-F basis. When asked how she managed to withstand such overwhelming pressure, Claudia gave a straightforward response. "When I was young, my dream was to travel the world, and I did that. Acting was just the passport." And perhaps it was that way of thinking that allowed Claudia Cardinale to survive. By the late 1960s, Claudia had left Hollywood, clearly stating that she did not want to be glamorized or exploited the way Sophia Loren had been. Claudia believed that fame and money were things she could give up as long as she was not forced to lose herself. Despite Claudia's refusal to accept it, Italian film history documents a difficult reality. Without Cristaldi, Claudia's career path might not have opened so widely. He was her discoverer, the architect of her public image, and the man who controlled nearly every aspect of her professional life. For 7 years, they lived in a conflicted love-hate relationship, and Cristaldi helped elevate Claudia to the pinnacle of stardom. On paper, their relationship was considered a marriage, but for decades, they were never really married. However, he was also the cause of her silent suffering and constant pressure, which she would only disclose much later. Their relationship ended when Claudia finally decided to make those sufferings public, but freedom did not come with complete freedom, as Cristaldi continued to control from a distance through his immense influence. In a field where one